My name is Jabaar, and you are watching Accessibility with Jabaar. Accessibility with Jabaar is a show about community misconceptions about disability, and we are discussing and engaging different people to benefit the community and those involved. In today's episode, we visited the League of the Friends of the Blind, and this was shot pre COVID in 2020. So let's take a look. I am at the League of the Friends of the Blind in Grassy Park, and we are on Open Studio CTV, the Disability Show. We have a very special guest with us today. Her name is Heidi Volkwein, and she is a very established person. She's the manager for the Youth and Adults Services Program here. Welcome to CTV, the Open Studio Disability Show. We are very excited to have you here.
Good afternoon, Jabaar, and welcome to you and the crew. It's really wonderful having you here at LOFOB today.
So Heidi, I'm really excited to meet you. I've heard so much about you and about the LOFOB. Can you tell us more about what LOFOB is all about and what it is you actually do here?
Okay, so LOFOB, known as the League of Friends of the Blind, we offer a comprehensive range of services to blind and visually impaired children, youth and adults. So everything that we do in terms of our service delivery is aimed at helping blind people become independent in the tasks of daily living, and then we ultimately help to integrate them back within society. So, for example, with the children, we do an infant stimulation program, we run a daily preschool, and we offer support to their parents. And very importantly, once they've completed the preschool section with us, we then either help them to integrate into a mainstream school or a special school for the blind. In terms of youth and adults, our program is geared toward helping people who lose their sight anywhere from the age of 14 become independent. And in this program, we will teach you skills like Braille, computer literacy, orientation and mobility, home management so that you can prepare your own meals, personal care so that we can teach you how to coordinate your cupboard. If you're a woman who likes to wear makeup, we will help to teach you those skills. So at the end of the program, people are independent in all the tasks of daily living, and then we help them integrate back within society.
Wow, Heidi. So LOFOB really does quite a lot of work, specifically in the community. Now, your role, can you explain more or less what exactly it is that you do, and how did you get involved in LOFOB and your personal journey to becoming blind? Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so my journey with LOFOB started 25 years ago when I was only 17 years old. It was the time when I was in grade 11 and I suddenly became blind. I was initially misdiagnosed to have a chronic migraine problem, but while writing my second last paper for grade 11, the lights went out on me in the classroom. I was admitted to hospital and then diagnosed with glaucoma, which was already far progressed and it caused damage to my optic nerve and retina. So after 7 operations at the age of 17, I lost all of my sight completely, and I've been blind ever since. So that was my introduction to LOFOB. So I started here as a client who came to benefit from LOFOB services, came to learn all the independence development skills so that I could be independent in terms of coping with my blindness. And thereafter, I became very passionate about working in the blindness field, and my first job in the organization was as a Braille instructor. I taught Braille for 9 years, and during that time I went back to complete my schooling and study in the field of public relations and worked as LOFOB's PR officer thereafter for 13 years. And 3 years ago, I was promoted to program manager for the Services to Youth and Adults program. And I'm extremely passionate about this part of my work because I know firsthand what it's like to lose your sight as a teenager. And then you know what goes into that in terms of the skills you require so that you can cope independently. And then very important, a big focus of what we try to do is to integrate back within society. So I am very passionate about that because I know firsthand how losing a person's sight can impact your life.
Wow, Heidi, I'm actually in awe. So from the age of 17 up until now, I must congratulate you on all your achievements and what you have overcome. Many people will look to you for being a role model, especially those that have faced the same challenges. So now your role for the external community, specifically Grassy Park or the surrounding areas. If there are children in the community that have visual impairment issues, like for example babies, how does LOFOB advise in terms of ECT specifically for babies?
Okay, so I'm going to start on what our role as an organization is for anybody, whether you're a child, youth, or adult, and you become blind or visually impaired. So, firstly, our job is to help the person who is visually impaired to have an understanding of what their visual impairment is and how it's possibly going to impact their lives. We will then also assist with doing an assessment on the person, and we will make suitable recommendations in terms of what their immediate needs are. So, for example, if you're a young child and you are of a school-going age and you were diagnosed with a visual impairment, we may not expect you to be uprooted from the school. So we would assess and we would then try to give you support around and to cope with that low vision that you have so that you can stay in the classroom environment. So really it's all about helping people to educate and become aware of the vision impairment and its effects, and then very importantly to give them the training that they need to cope with what they are faced with.
Before, I did ask you about it, but I'm sure people that are watching and maybe have burning questions and there's no time to ask. Because there's a lot of sensitive questions in the community. How do blind babies, or obviously, how do you describe colors, specifically to babies that grow up that have never seen, like describe colors, purple, blue, etc.?
Okay, so in terms of the question specifically relating to colors, so a blind child or if the child is visually impaired, of course they would never be able to see and understand when you tell them about, grass is green and the sky is blue. So while our children don't have the concept of what the color actually looks like, we still teach the children about what color the sky would be, what color grass is, what color clothing can be. So we will teach them those things so that they have an understanding of what colors match with what. And we also will teach them, for example, when eventually as they grow up, we will teach them which colors match with which. So we will teach somebody that you can wear a denim blue jeans with any color t-shirt, or you can wear something that is black with red, or you can wear black with pink. So while they don't understand what the color looks like, they will be taught which colors match with which.
Wow, Adi, so now I have a better understanding of how. So they need to have assessments and training prior to getting a better understanding. So with those that are at home with babies that are also visually impaired, I'm sure your training helps quite a lot. So we're going to have a quick break and we'll be back after that. We are back from our ad break and we continue to show you footage and interviews done prior COVID in 2020. So let's have a look. Before we met with Heidi and now we're meeting with someone new, also here at the League of the Friends of the Blind in Grassy Park. And we're meeting a very special person. I'm going to ask her, I'm not going to say who she is, she can tell us who she is. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Jabaar. So I'm Benita Peterson and I'm Program Manager at the League of Friends of the Blind. And the program that I head up is a very exciting part of the work that LOFOB does. It's our early childhood development program. And LOFOB serves children who are blind and visually impaired from the age of birth up until the age of 13. And our primary objective is to ensure that the children are successfully integrated into society. So we do a lot of work with parents as well. I always say, in order for the children to be okay, the parents need to be okay. So we provide a range of support and training programs to the children, to the parents as well. So from birth to 3 years of age, that is where we provide an infant stimulation program, and that's where we go out into homes. So we are in the areas, our occupational therapist and our social worker is providing the support programs to families in their communities. We serve children in communities like Daft and Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain. We've got children from East River all over the Cape Flats. And then we also serve the rural areas, Jabaar. So last September now that passed, we worked in Beaufort West. And we picked up a new child that we didn't know about who was blind, and we provided that support service to the child and to the parent as well. And then you guys got to see the fun part of what we do in our preschool, our ECD center. So that is where we are working with the child from age of 3 to 6 years of age. And there we're preparing the child for primary schooling. So all of the school readiness things we focus on, their colors and their numbers and their shapes, their lefts and rights, so that they are ready for school. And then the support program that we provide to children older than 6 years, from 6 to 13, that is where children are in mainstream schools. And again, there our staff go out to schools where children are placed in mainstream schools and work very much. We provide an in-class support session. We educate teachers in terms of the inclusion of the blind child in the mainstream schooling setup. So that's basically the three focal areas of the support services to children who are blind.
Wow, I think the work that you guys are doing are quite a lot. I mean, these three focal areas and what you do within LOFOB, it can be quite a large capacity. So concerning the parents, how do they react or become in the acceptance stage, identifying that they have a blind baby?
Jabaar, thank you for the question. It's quite tough for our parents. You can imagine, young mother is pregnant, expecting the baby. You do not expect a doctor to be giving you news of anything else other than, your baby's okay and your baby's fine. Parents struggle once it is that a doctor confirms a diagnosis of permanent blindness. Our communities also, the communities in which we work, are communities where that is struggling with the usual community issues. There's poverty, there's unemployment, there's no housing. And our parents, and then you throw in the vision impairment, that exacerbates a parent's and a family's circumstances tenfold, if not more. So, as I've indicated, in order for the children to be okay, the parents need to be okay. So LOFOB provides a comprehensive parent support and training service. Our social worker works one-on-one with parents, in which we provide individual counseling. And when I say parents, Jabaar, parents include a mom, a dad, an auntie, a grandmother. The Makulus are very involved with supporting families. And then what works best, we found in terms of our experience, is our parent support groups. So parents get together from all walks of life, from different communities, and so it's parents supporting parents through it. And we often have, which is a nice element of our work, is that we've had parents of children who have graduated through our programs and are now, finishing off school or in college and university, and then those parents come back and they facilitate the parent programs, because then once it is that a parent of a baby, once it is that you see, there's another parent, and that what that mother went through, it resonates with me. But she's done that. It's been tough, but she's okay, So our parent support group elements are very critical to blind children being okay. But yes, beginning stages, it is very tough. Parents are broken. It's often very difficult for parents, and parents, we do program evaluations constantly with our different programs, and one of the questions that when we ask parents about their first time that they visited LOFOB, 9 times out of 10 they would say making that step to come to LOFOB was one of the most difficult things for them to do, because for parents stepping into our space, into LOFOB, it means that they need to admit that my child is blind, and that's tricky for parents, for anybody to be dealing with that. But we are hopeful and encouraged, but as time goes on, a lot of our parents have said is that, Benita, they've said to us is that there's never 100% acceptance, but you grow to learn to deal with it, and there are times, even years after your child is diagnosed, where you break down totally, but then you pick yourself up again. And LOFOB, we're happy to be there to support our parents when it is that they're struggling, and in terms of picking up the pieces and going on.
We could have a quick break and we'll be back after that. We are back from the quick ad break, and we're continuing our discussion and story about LOFOB, League of the Friends of the Blind. And today we have a special guest joining us. His name is Armand Barn. He is the director or head of LOFOB. He's been involved in many different engagements as a stakeholder, and also has been at UWC. Armand, welcome to Accessibility with Jabaar.
Hello, and thank you for having me, Jabaar.
Thank you. So today, I just want to ask you a few questions. We have a lot of people that are sitting at home, that are watching, that maybe feel that they're still hesitant on how to deal with a child that's blind, or the child is visually impaired, or they're just suffering from degenerative vision loss. What message can you share with those parents and those caregivers to try and make it, to motivate them to be able to deal with a situation like that?
I think most importantly, when we look at our children, and it is to treat them with care. I think that's at the heart of everything we need to do. Firstly is to understand that care is important. And so what does that care mean? It means that when it is that our child shows that they have any additional needs, is that we find the right support that they require. And I think those two things, understanding that care is important, and we show our care through finding those resources and the support that our children need. And particularly when you look at visually impaired children or blind children, for many parents, it comes as quite a great shock when they learn that their baby is or has a visual impairment or is going to be born blind. To deal with that, one needs support. The understanding of what that means for the child's life going forward, the needs that they will express is important. And so at LOFOB, we offer that type of support to help parents understand what it is the child will need. And it's not a matter of one needing to feel sorry for oneself, but it's about how it is that you are able to understand the needs of the child. And I think that comes with education, sharing of information. And that's what we try to do, is to make sure that we share that information with parents.
Wow, I'm quite sure that parents that maybe are watching right now, they can internalize your message. You work as the CEO for LOFOB. Can you tell me why is it that you decided to take upon this role, and how long have you been involved with the organization?
I've been involved with the organization quite literally from my birth. My parents had worked there for many years. I, in fact, tried to steer clear of working there. But what I saw growing up in terms of being of service to those most in need of my community brought me back to the organization. And so I've been involved for more than 2 decades in LOFOB actively as a volunteer first, and then coordinating sports events, and eventually that took me to the position of directing and leading the organization. So it is what I saw growing up. Being of service to people, ensuring that we can help those who at a certain stage of their life really couldn't speak up for themselves or didn't have the opportunities. And that's where, I learned that. I didn't learn that in a university or in a book. It's what I saw in terms of serving my community.
Wow, Armand, I think that the experience of actually seeing what the community needed, that helps to build confidence and also added to your passion of why you started working with the blind organization. Is there any experience, maybe, or challenge that you could share in terms of a medical perspective, that maybe a parent received incorrect advice or something that was a challenging situation, and if you did occur that, how did you resolve it?
I think where it's often most heartbreaking is when a mother is still pregnant and has the child in the womb, and the doctor delivers the news that most likely the child is going to have a visual impairment or be born blind. And often there what happens is doctors deliver that message in quite a clinical fashion. And the social side of that, the psychosocial side of that, the experience of hearing that news is not supported in that clinical environment. And I think there is where we see a lot of, and damage is probably not the right word, but a lot of where that confidence is stripped away from a mother, where mothers feel a certain way. They feel downtrodden. They feel like they've done something to cause this. And so a lot of parents don't have access to the internet. Jabaar, in terms of who we serve, tends to be historically disadvantaged parents. And so their access to our information normally comes by word of mouth. And that's the wonderful thing about LOFOB. We've remained true to the community. We remain true to serving those through the good works that we do. And that's how we start to share that information.
Wow, Armand, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today on Accessibility with Jabaar.
Thank you.
So we've got more information for you about LOFOB and what they do, and we will also list any other blind organizations as well as departments, and the information will be listed below. Thank you so much for joining us and watching Accessibility with Jabaar. Goodbye.